welcome to the Oye Cinema Club. It's me, your lovely, 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 lovely host for today, Steve Des TV. But I'm here with your other host. We got JP Saruno and we got Michaela B. And today we were supposed to discuss a movie, but we're actually going to be discussing what makes a great film. And there's so many components that a great film needs in the aspect of production and creatives and writing and in front of the camera. We're gonna dissect all these things, us three, the incredible cinephiles and experts that we are, right here for y'all. So I'm always with the policy ladies first. So Michaela, what makes a great film?
I think at the end of the day, it is a project that you can just sense had like something to say, or at least good chemistry. Because I think
we came like a science project.
Well, I mean that's what creating is at the end of the day. If you think about it, if you really want to get philosophical.
No, I was just being a troll.
I know, and that's why I had to nip that in the bud. But no, I think that just looking at some of my favorite films and movies and the ones that are near and dear to my heart, they're not always necessarily good film, but you can sense that either the people who made it had a lot of fun, or maybe they didn't have I don't know, you can just sense that there's an experience behind it that makes it something worthwhile. And it's just fun to be a part of that in some degree.
This is gonna sound bad. I need to check something real quick.
You good?
No worries. So on that note, what makes a great film for me? There's so many elements to a great film, but I think at the core of it all, or at least the beginning of, because there's other components to it, but it has to be the story for me. Because if you don't have a good story, it doesn't matter if you have the best actors in the world, it's not going to be a great film. But I've seen so many great films, especially here in the cinema club, that are not necessarily with known actors, but it has a really, really great story. And yeah, to me, the story is everything. That's the reason I even watch certain shows or certain things. It is because of the story, because I'm so invested in certain characters or people because of a great story. JP, now that you're back, are you okay? And what makes a great?
I'm actually gonna explain myself. I was gonna do a bit where I was gonna again make a joke, say, "Oh, the thing that makes a great movie is money," and so I was trying to look for my wallet, and I freaked out a bit because I was like, "Wait, it's not where it should be." So that's karma for you guys. That was instant karma, and I'm gonna own it. And you're gonna, to the three people who watch this, they're gonna see the 2 seconds of absolute fear and panic in my body, in my eyes, because I was gonna do a stupid joke.
That's your entire life.
It is. Well, money helps to make a good film. I'm just fucking. There's garbage movies that have a budget of absolute fucking zero. They're fucking great. I feel like what make for me personally, because I could always do the whole like the truth of the matter is, as long as creative is honest with their work, then it should be great. And in my opinion, if you find your art great, that's all you need. You don't need to impress anybody else. If your art is honest, if your art is pure to you, then that's great. But audience counts. I am audience. And I feel what makes a great film is absolute predictability. I'm just kidding.
But no, like, but
Yeah.
like, that's okay if that's what you think. Like, it's just
No.
always very interesting because like we're always talking about like films that we like because we can just play it in the background.
Mhm.
Whereas I don't agree with that. Like, if I enjoy
Yeah.
a film, I want to be like encaptured by it. Like, it has to be something I know is going to distract me.
Yeah, you like getting caught off guard in the avant-garde, and for me, I honestly can't. For me, I need like JP personally. This is just my opinion and my niche. I like it when a story is linear, has a beginning, middle, and end. And for me, the thing that I almost need out of a film is someone to root for, or someone to like actually cheer on and be happy that I'm seeing this story. Like I want someone's like stories to be worth something to me. Because we've seen films, even like very experimental films that we haven't seen in the cinema club, but like just like things I've seen in like film festivals, museums, art stuff, and whatever. And I can't help, boy, that was a rough fucking 5 minutes. Like Jesus Christ. Like good on people putting their art out there because that takes courage. But man, it's like, whoa, I don't know. I guess I'm just old fashioned that way. Where if I don't have that one thing that I have to root for, it loses me pretty quickly.
Well, what about you, Des?
Like I said, mainly the story for me.
Mhm.
But like the story to me is everything. Like if it doesn't engage me, it will lose me right away. Like if I put something and it doesn't, I guess also part of it will be the hook. 'Cause especially these days that we watch a little bit more streaming than actually going to the movies. Um, there has to be like those initial 5 to 10 minutes
Mhm.
for you to not only get like what the overall story is going to be kind of about, but to hook you in. Because there's so many things you can like switch or like go and watch another movie or do something else with your life. That's a big challenge that today's movies face. Is the attention span thing, in my opinion.
I feel like that's such an interesting thing that like everyone's always complaining about is like how we have shorter attention spans, but I don't think that's true because the thing of it is like look at how we're consuming stories nowadays. Like we're doing them in shows. Like recently, all of like the big things to watch are like entire series,
Yeah.
and most of the time, I think people binge.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like that's not so like we're complaining about having to sit down and watch a 3-hour film, but what's watching 4 episodes of your favorite thing? Like how is that different?
That's a fair argument.
Like no, it's just one of those things that I feel like older generations like to like rub in our face that we don't have the attention span to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
When if anything, we're turning like stories into something that has to be longer.
Yeah.
Which it makes me wonder what's the future of film, or are these shows the actual future of film, and movies are like becoming more of a short form kind of story.
Oh,
Like, you see what I'm getting at?
Katzenberg thought it was gonna be Quibi, and that didn't work out.
Touche.
No, I feel like that's fair. Like, because even like films that are intentionally long, like Tarantino's The Hateful Eight and Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. Like you could they were both sent to Netflix, and they were both you could both see them as how they were originally intended, completely long form, or in segments, kind of like how a show is, which I think gives people the illusion of like, oh wait, I could see this from beginning to middle to end whenever I fucking want. I guess the only thing that's kind of different with like television is that each of those chapters does have a beginning, middle, and an end, as opposed to like a film where it's like you could be midway through the first act and it's like, wait, no, there's no real resolve in the first act. But I guess TV shows do the same thing. Now that I say it out loud. I don't know. I guess it's just for some folks, it's just easier to consume, especially since, like, I guess the writing is different for, let's say, a TV series versus exactly. Yeah, pacing. Yeah, that's a good word. Pacing.
No, like it's just I don't know. It's just like it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. Just because like I started this new project where I'm like trying to watch all the Criterion films and like journal about them. But I didn't realize it was like 1,000 something.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've started off with like I've finished the first 5, and not a single one of them is under 2 hours.
Like they fucking long.
They are. They're really long.
People back then had nothing to do.
Well, no, it like if anything, like that's why I find like such a weird disconnect, because like nowadays we have like phones, so like we can always like be engaged in something, whereas like back then it's just like you like probably knew what an hour actually felt like.
Yeah.
So like sitting down in the cinema being like, yes, I am giving 3 hours to this. I don't know. It's just very interesting to me.
Thus, today in today's diverse society, we don't really look kindly to things that are just black and white. Because the movies are old. They're old.
So, with that being said, I going back to what JP was saying in the beginning, that I know it was another joke. The money aspect of the movie. So, a quick question for you guys: do you think that production value makes a great movie?
No.
It definitely helps, but we've also seen movies where their budget is like way up the butt and they're pretty bad and mediocre, and it's a lot of like, and most of them like it's basically just like the movie industry. At the end of the day, just like any other industry, they're making a product and they're going to see if they could sell. And some movies, like, they're straight up just commercials, and that's fine. That's the purpose of the movie. And they make a lot of money, and they put a lot of money into those like an hour-long commercials. And some of them are great stories, some of them are not. Like, it depends on who the audience is and what they like.
I mean, I guess I can give some credence to that, but like I just like thinking just like specifically like things like horror film history. Like the reason why Halloween was such a crazy thing, they didn't have a huge budget.
True.
They only spent most of their money on the camera. The rest of it, the reason that was so breakthrough was because they had to figure out how to bring the theater of the mind onto the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And they figured by doing it with perspective. And like I feel like when you have smaller budgets,
that's when you get creative.
You have to get creative and you have to problem solve. And that's where we get like a lot of like the crazy inventions that happen. But on the other side of that coin, you can easily be like Jurassic Park. And so much happened because of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, like money helps, and like sometimes I feel like it depends on how much, like anything, how you use it, how you use money as a tool instead of a hindrance. Because like you can have the biggest special effects film in the world, but if you don't do anything special or new or like something that helps with the story, then it gets kind of forgotten on the wayside or whatever. Like there's a lot of films that, as beautiful as they are, because of the amount of money that was thrown at them, like we're gonna forget in the next few years because like no one really cares. Like if there has to be something that someone can grab onto.
Yeah.
And you like money helps, but I don't know.
I think it's a fine line. I think the way you phrased it, it depends on how you use it as a tool. I think that's the key to this conundrum. Because like you're absolutely right. Like for every like small micro budget film that did really, really crazy well, there is like that huge blockbuster that really did change the way that we consumed things.
Yeah.
But and so it's like a matter of like what makes like Back to the Future versus Short Circuit.
Okay.
Like what makes that like the big special thing, where Short Circuit kind of is meh.
I like Short Circuit.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it too. But it's just like it's like a very similar storyline to something we would recognize. But why did that not take a generation's imagination and run with it?
Yeah, like I guess like for me, since I watched like so many fucking cartoons, I guess to me it's like how you know back when I was younger, it was the fucking Toy Story, fucking new, it's great, and then like today it's like I'm hoping fucking Minions are dead by like a few years. They're not as popular anymore. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
but like I feel like Minions is a good example. It was like it was kind of a cutesy movie, but then like the over saturation and like trying to make because pop culture, it's funny to make pop culture. It's great when you reference pop culture, but the problem with that is that you suddenly put a time capsule on your film. It's like, oh, you literally just dated your movie now. And that's how I feel about like stuff from Illumination, especially those little fucking minion bastards, where they're funny for like a few films, and they fucking try to sell millions up the butt to everybody. But eventually, it's like, oh no, now I remember it as those cringy memes that 40-year-olds put a minion and a Bible quote for some reason. That's fucking weird.
It only makes sense to them.
Yeah.
Your opinion does?
So, to me, it really, and again, tying to what I said in the beginning, it depends on the story, really. Like, there's stories that don't necessarily need an extreme amount of money to be made to make the film happen. Uh, but there are a lot of advantages by you using that tool to create more lively stories. It's a very tricky thing because you gotta have someone that's part of those teams that is equally distributing that money for the purposes of creating this whole vision. Because when you think of what a movie is, it's like this whole world, that they're creating. And there's certain, for example, there's certain Spielberg films that I'm like, yeah, to do something like that, for sure, you need a ton of a budget for it. And then there's certain movies that you think they used a lot of money, and when you actually like see, like, they maybe they cut these corners here and there in order to make it happen. And I mean, at the end of the day, and that will be something that we can discuss, I guess, next. What do you guys think makes a movie, like a great movie, successful? Is it the amount of people that saw it in the box office? Is it the amount of eyes that watch it on a streaming? Is it the amount of awards it receives? Is it the amount of, I mean, I don't know, DVDs that got bought? Like, what determines that success in your guys' opinion?
I feel like because it's gonna bring it back the whole what you talk about money and stuff and cutting corners. I think it's like because storytelling, like since the dawn of time, like that's how history kind of started, was through storytelling, until we finally figured out how to actually record history and whatnot. So if like for me, it's how much of an impact it has on the culture itself, and like just folks in general. Like you could like, sure, technically speaking, like the more eyes that see it, the more money it should make logically in theory, but we know that's not exactly true. Kind of like the Lion King and stuff like that. Like since I know, again, me loving cartoons and shit. When that movie came out, it was from because I think Disney for a good while they had an A team and a B team, and whoever worked on the A team, like that's the one that's they're gonna try to push for. Is like, oh, this one's gonna be the success. And that time, what they thought the A team were working on was Pocahontas, which turned out not so fucking great, and it hasn't lived up that well. But like the B team, that was the Lion King, and you had kind of like the people who weren't exactly top grade made a fucking bomb ass movie. Of course, it's Hamlet, so duh. So it's that story is already timeless. But then it turns out the movie with the lower budget was the one that made the most impact and the one that more people remember. And then they fucking made a dumb remake that was dumb and expensive, but whatever. It made its money back. Who cares? It made its money back and more, actually. I am surprised at how much money that remake made. But for me, it has to be like the impact that made on the culture itself. It's like, especially in especially in the film industry. Like for me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan and hater. So like the original Star Wars, like that impact, dude, that has such an impact. Where it's like, oh, we're allowed to have the fun blockbuster again, and people will take it seriously. And so many films like were made and inspired just because of that one movie. So for me, that's what makes the film successful. What has the biggest impact culturally, and since it's a film, what has the biggest impact in the industry itself?
Yeah, no, and like that's what I was trying to bring up with like Halloween. Is like Halloween was like a film that was not supposed to be seen by everybody.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be like one of those films that like only like weird like horror buffs would like go to and like make an effort to see. But like because the way they filmed it, like all the fans were just like, it has to capture a generation's imagination.
Yeah, and then of course, sorry.
Like I think a big part of that is just like what's going on at the time, or like time and place, and what is it that we need, like what do we need in our personal mythologies. And I think that's what ends up showing in our pop culture. Is like the things that grab our attention are the things that really highlighted like what stories and problems that we needed highlighted.
Yeah, I agree a lot with especially how JP summed it up, like the impact that it makes culturally and within the industry. Personally, I'm not really an industry guy. I'm just like whatever, but culturally, if you got people dressing up as the characters, like you come on, you made something great. Or at least something that resonates with so many people that they actually like, dress up like them when it's not even Halloween, you know. That to me would be insane. Imagine like making a movie and all of a sudden, like years down the line, like people are still dressing like the characters and stuff like that. Like that must be really insane. Um, is there any questions? I mean, is there any input or any other questions you guys want to add before I throw another one?
No, please go ahead, throw another one.
Okay, then do you guys think that you need great acting in order to have a great film?
Actually, I don't.
Yeah, of course you'd say that.
No, it's just like, I mean, think about like House. That is a great film. It's insane. But I would not consider any of the actors like acting geniuses. You know, like it's clearly a bunch of teenage girls having fun. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I mean, there's definitely an art to it, and you can always tell when it is a great performance. But how many great performances do we have in meh kind of Oscar baity movies?
Yeah, that's true. Actors could act the fuck out of their goddamn brains and like still not get gold. And plus, Oscar baity movies, you've seen one, you've seen most of them. It doesn't matter. It's the same fucking movie, dreary, like damp lighting, whatever. But oh my god, I'll admit though, like if a film has bad acting and it's not intentional or it doesn't vibe with what the film is, it takes me out really fucking hard. And I'll admit sometimes that's just me like wanting and liking more traditional shit, I suppose. Because even like the film like The Dead Don't Die, like they're phenomenal actors, but they're purposely acting like fucking maniacs and goofballs, and it somehow works for the film, even though the film itself is like, especially near the end of that movie, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And normally a film like that I would hate, but I really enjoyed it because of the actor's performance. So I feel that there has to be some, in my opinion, for me, this is JP liking movies, how JP likes his movies. For me, there has to be some competence with the performers. There has to be some believability. Like, because I'll admit, sometimes all it takes is one bad performance and it just throws the whole thing off for me.
That's true. That's true.
So
I think it definitely helps. It's just I don't think that. I think that's part of what makes movies so wonderful. Is that it really takes a village in order to make one of these things. Like, you could have like the best performances in the world, but if we can't hear what they're saying, useless. If you can't see what they're emoting, it's useless. You know, like if the CGI guy covers up the great performance, useless. You know, whereas like I don't know, it's just. It's always amazing to me, like, just how much thought goes into, like, every little detail when it comes to film.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really like about it.
True. Well, like we said earlier, you have an ensemble that acted their heart out. And if there's nothing for me to grab onto, I don't care. And that's a lot of these fucking, oh, God, these artsy fartsies, like, look at the bigger story. There's a lesson here. And I was like, is there? Is there? Is there?
To think I was going to let you watch 400 Blows with me.
400 what?
The French film I was watching. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Benjamin Button is basically Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. I also agree with Michaela that a great movie doesn't necessarily have great acting because there's animated movies. And talking about animated movies, do you guys think that in the very near future we're gonna have more great animated movies than great regular movies?
That's possible.
I already feel that way, to be honest, but that's just because I like fucking animated films. Because for me, in my opinion, like that takes more work and more art, and it's literally like, especially like it's literally like a moving painting, like, and gosh, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie, especially now, like especially like if this whole I was gonna say if the COVID thing, like it's gonna be over, it will be over. Knock on wood, it will be over. But if people get kind of used to this whole like, oh, we can make things in the comfort of our homes, or we don't have to go out and try to find the impossible practically. Because let's be real, a lot of like movies today, especially like the Marvel films, half of it is basically an animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even the superheroes costumes and the characters, like when you see Iron Man, most of the time you're not seeing Robert Downey Jr., you're seeing a 3D model of an iron suit. You're literally seeing a cartoon. You're not seeing Robert Downey Jr. When, spoiler alert, when you see fucking Mark Ruffalo, that's not really him. It's him covered in dots and some CGI guy pasting his ugly ass face with the green monster. I'm kidding. I actually like he's a handsome man. I think he's a handsome man.
Yes, he is.
I'm just shitting on him.
I know.
But yeah, like films today, like most of them, half of it, I could already say they're fucking cartoons. Even the backgrounds, most films today, I'm shocked to find out, oh, that's not on a set, or like that's not in a town. You literally had to make a fucking warehouse from a computer. Like, are we short on warehouses? Do we really have to give that much work to the computer guys? Like, build us a fucking
that's the thing.
fake
It's
ass
probably
warehouse
not work anymore.
So I don't know, because I know a lot of like, it's especially when films transition from traditionally drawn to computer, a lot of people were worried, oh, this is going to be the new thing. Computer's going to replace actors. I mean, in some cases, they literally do. But I don't know. There will always be visionaries that, like, they're not fucking animators. They're just filmmakers. So whether I think it's going to be a matter of opinion or a matter of how, like, people feel about animation and just traditionally made films. But like, both mediums are here to stay. I don't know if one will overtake the other, even though one heavily, like, depending on the genre, some might argue is over reliant on that. But yeah, I don't think it will overtake it or replace it. But it's definitely here, and there's definitely gonna be more of it. Salud.
Oh, I'm about ready to wrap this up.
Ready.
I'll take over from those nieces. Yeah, I feel like definitely we're heading towards a more. I guess there's more you can do with animation. There's more you can get away with animation, and man, it's hard for me to say. Even I've seen a bad animation, at least movie wise, that actually gets released, because you can delay the project so much to the point to get it so perfect to then put it out the way that you want, versus a film that you may shoot. Yeah, you can do some reshoots, but those are really, really, really expensive, and you have to gather people again and all that. So it's a little bit more difficult to pull off, I guess, just because there's so many people you gotta gather. JP doesn't have a head.
No, I do. I got a head in the game.
Sorry, I have to really blow my nose.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I am.
You're not. I'll be right back.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I totally just derailed our conversation. Like,
No, it's all good. It's all good. Is there anything else you want to comment about a great film?
Great film. Does not derail the subject line or the story, that's for sure. This does look weird, doesn't it? I mean, we're woo! Ah! He's gonna leave that in, and I'm gonna regret doing that.
Yeah, that is kept, sir.
Dumbass.
Language makes a great film. We mustn't forget the
The writing.
unsung heroes, the writers.
Always.
Because let's be honest, without a script, there is no story to tell. Writers are pretentious motherfuckers who backstab each other in groups. You could have a pair of them, and then one of them will stab the other one in the back. Ever notice how in writing it's always something and something? I don't know what I'm doing. Nah, I guess that's one thing that we haven't really talked about is the writing. Like, oh my gosh, you could. But then again, oh man, you could have. Because I read some really great screenplays, and sometimes what they wrote do not translate that well to picture, and those things should have stayed a fucking book.
Well, I mean, it all comes back to like it depends on the people who are behind the project at the end of the day.
True. And like, yeah, that's like, I guess without the screenwriter, you actually don't have a movie.
Nope.
No, because even like films that have no dialogue whatsoever, like you have someone who wrote that story.
Mm-hmm.
They had to write it down, how they imagine it in their head, how they see it in their mind's eye, and then put it to film.
Yep. Well, and like it also takes a good director to actually have a good eye to see how to connect the words with the reality.
Which is why a fucking scriptwriter should not be on set. Go home, Jared. I'm just kidding.
Now, this is my last question for this great film. What makes it? And this one that definitely Michaela can give a lot of input, and that is if there's a movie that is based from a book, does the movie have to be better than the book?
Well, that's always such a hard thing because the reason why books always seem to be better than the movie is because books allow you a perspective inside the character's head. So when something is happening, not only are you seeing what's happening, but you're seeing exactly how the character reacts to it, which puts a whole different like layer of imagery and mythology and meaning to a particular moment compared to when you are just filming it, you know? Because like in a book, if you see a character walking up on an apple and they're having this huge catharsis moment about how their mother died because they choked on an apple, you know, that all happens in 3 seconds. How do you have an actor show that specific story just staring at an apple?
True.
On screen?
Also, not all literature. Am I saying it right? Literary authors.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all screenwriters either. I mean, there's been a few instances where authors have gone to screenwriting, like fucking the movie that we saw. Oh, not now, but like ages ago, The Godfather. Mario Puzo. He wrote the screenplay for The Godfather as well. And it was fucking bomb. Like his book was great, and his fucking the movie, even though different than the book, like it was. I don't know if it was better because I never read the book, but like was also fucking great art. And then you have like J.K. Rowling, who after making the first Harry Potter books, she decided to write the screenplay for Fantastic Beasts, and those movies are fucking boring.
Well, I think that like when you're writing,
I hate you, Eddie Redmayne. I'm just kidding.
No, like I think that's like kind of the point is like some writers understand what it is to tell a story through like it's a different medium.
Yeah.
You know, it's like trying to do trying to get a watercolor painting to feel the same way as an oil painting. They're very similar things, but like there's no way you can actually really compare that.
Yeah, and this is just me doing a hot take. You're not one of them, but I do know like a few fucking bookworms and whatever who on their fucking high horses, just like people who say the manga's better than the anime. You know, it's like for some reason they can't seem to get how those are two completely different mediums. One has to be made a certain way as opposed to the other one, and I feel folks have to realize, whoa. Was that karma again?
Yes.
Fuck that. I think people have to realize that a movie is different than a book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. You could love your fucking book, but you have to separate that to what becomes the movie. Because so much in the majority of cases, for better or worse, they're gonna have to change some stuff. They'll have to cut some stuff just for what people believe is best for the movie, which sometimes is not necessarily in the interest of, let's say, fans and even to the story itself. Because I'll admit, there's some films based upon literary works that is like, well, the book was better because it explained something way more, or like, hey, you removed that entire scene from the book that was important, and it's like, well, it's not in the movie, it's not in the budget, you know.
Well, I mean, I think that there's examples where it goes both ways. You know, oh man, I just had such a good one in my head. Oh, Pet Cemetery is a great example of a book that is very far superior to like any film that could ever be made, just because of the fact that you can't make an actor like have a visualization of what it means to actually like think in your brain. Well, what if I did bring my zombie, like my dead son, to life?
Yeah, you can't have
that moment of him crossing that line in his head, and like you can't have that same amount of terror on screen because it's all happening in the character's head.
It's all cerebral, and it's even with comic book movies. You can't have fucking thought bubbles all over the scene. Like that's up to the actors. That's up to the actors to fucking put that on their face. But that's up to interpretation.
Well, again. And even then, like when it comes to metaphors, you can't act out a metaphor.
True.
You can't. Like, I don't care how good you are. There are just certain things you can't. But on the other hand, like this is my hot take. I think that Lord of the Rings, the movies, are better than the books.
Dang, that is a hot take.
And this is why. Because they managed to take the world that Tolkien created and show us what it was. You know, like if you actually read the Lord of the Rings books, you have to spend a lot of time fishing through this history that's not necessarily relevant to the actual story, like crux of the story. And what Peter Jackson did that made those films so amazing was he gave us all the important details that gave us the breadth and the importance and the mythology all laid out for us. And the older I get, the more I realize that it's kind of also really important for artists to try to recreate these things in different mediums. Because if they don't, so many people miss out on good stories.
Okay. It's a good introduction to,
you know, and like there are so many books that I love so much that I would love to share with you, you know, that I've experienced.
But I can't read.
No, it's just you're
kidding.
not a reader.
No, I know.
Someone who's gonna like spend an afternoon, you know, and if someone made a decent enough film adaptation of it, I could share those wonderful characters and stories with you in a way that you would really connect with. And I think that that's important.
Going back to Stephen King, do you think they were going to make that one singing It?
No. That's illegal.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's our opinion on what makes a great film. But leave us a comment below and let us know what you think makes a great film, or maybe something that we didn't get to cover today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a good question. Steve, what do you have for next week?
You do this to yourself.
I'm proud that I managed to zoom it like on me. I was afraid, like, finally the karma. I should shut up before it comes back. So
Okay. Do you guys want to hear a joke?
Oh my god. Sure, why not?
Next week we're watching Baby Geniuses.
Interesting.
I hope you're fucking right.
No.
That's a joke. I mean, if you guys want to watch it, I'm so down. But that was the joke.
Okay.
So next week we're supposed to watch The Hidden Blade, but just in case, extracurricular activities, the real movie that's not a joke that we're gonna watch next week is Joker.
Okay, thank God. Nothing wrong with Baby Geniuses, but no.
Bro, why you talking about Baby? Bro, you don't see who's there in Baby Geniuses? You don't
Yeah,
see?
I see Christopher Lloyd, and that's about it.
But Joker. Put on a happy face now.
I'm happy. We saw that movie in the cinema, and it was kind of scary because the media likes to lie. That's me.
Do you have like a remote that you're like zooming in, or you're just leaning in?
I just leaned in like an idiot.
Well, there you go. For JP, Michaela, me, Steve the TV. We'll catch you next week. Bye bye.
Hi, I'm JP Cerno, and welcome. Hi, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Hi, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Fucking shit. Okay. Hey, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Right? Jesus Christ. And I just, as soon as it's the third one, because this is the third one, right? Hi, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Oye Dimelo. Super cut of every time I fuck it up. Hey, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Hey, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo Network. And click here for additional videos, and don't forget to subscribe. The lonely singles in your neighborhood already did.